Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Today I've got the latest from Ruger, the RXM, and the latest in the XD lineup from Springfield, the XD Mod 3. Please don't forget to check out our website. Go to our affiliates page. You'll find discount codes for things like Mantis Axe and Core belts, linked to that cool little bore light that we use for lighting up the barrels. Use those links, it will often save you money, never will cost you any additional money, and helps the channel. And please consider supporting the channel on Player, formerly Utreon, where we can do some types of videos that are no longer allowed on YouTube. The RXM is something that has been done by a number of different companies in the concept of it's a Glock Gen 3 clone. It's basically a clone of a Glock 19 Gen 3. But it's a first for Ruger to do one. It's also a first for Ruger to collaborate with Magpul. So this is a Magpul magazine, and I believe Magpul probably made the grip frame. And the RXM, the actual firearm itself, is made by Ruger. It is based on a Glock 19 Gen 3 because the patents have expired on the Gen 3s. But there is a difference. Ruger has incorporated a chassis system into it. So they've actually improved on the Glock. Similar to the P320 and the Echelon and some of the others, the fire control group, the actual firearm itself as a chassis inside here can be removed and the grips can be exchanged. The XD Mod 3 is pretty much an evolution of the existing XD line that Springfield has had, which is a line of very good, high quality, relatively inexpensive firearms that just work. They just work reliably. And effectively what they've done is kind of refreshed it. They've enhanced the line. So these two are comparable in both the price category they go in and the size. They're approximately a Glock 19, so they're a compact size concealed carry gun. That's what their focus is. Dimensionally, they're close enough to each other that it's not going to matter too much. So the RXM is the one that's here towards the front and the XD is near the rear. The RXM is 7.15 front to back. The XD is 7.3 front to back. The RXM with its flush magazine is 5.31 tall. The XD is 5.5. And they're both 1.2 inches. Now if you go to Ruger's website, you're going to see this listed as 1 inch. They got creative in where they chose to do the measurement. When you measure the actual size of the gun and everything else, it's 1.2. They quote it as 1.0. They're going to the smallest part of the slide. They're not lying. That measurement does exist on the gun, but that's not typically how things are measured. So to go apples to apples, they're both about 1.2. The RXM weighs a little less at 23.2. The XD weighs 27 ounces. So the XD's 4 ounces heavier, give or take. And then that's probably, of all the various specs that you're going to have, the one that would matter the most. Both of them have front and rear serrations. The serrations on the RXM are nice. They're a little bit short, and they're kind of a little edgy, both at the front and rear, but they're effective. The XD, they're a little more stylish, and they're a little easier to get a good solid grip on, and the XD has a bit of a shelf here at the back to get a hold of so that your fingers won't slide off it. So I would say that the XD's done just a little bit better job with the serrations. The XD has, if I can get this not to glare, a 16 round magazine, and the RXM has a 15 round magazine. Now the Magpul magazines don't have all of the witness holes that a typical Glock magazine does because they don't have the steel liner. The RXM will take a lot of their Glock magazines and all the different capacities that they have available. The XD will not take XDM magazines, but it will take all of the XD magazines from the prior generations. So magazines for both of these are readily available. And just in case there's any doubt, I do have an XDM magazine here in my hand, and it doesn't fit into the mag well. So they are not compatible with the XDM magazines, but they are compatible with all of the prior XD line mags, so they're readily available. The grip has kind of light finger grooves and some texturing. They're real comfortable to hold. The finger grooves are not pronounced enough that it's going to matter for what size fingers you've got. Texture at the back, and it does have a grip safety. All the XD and XDM, so all the XD pistols have a grip safety, and that includes the XDMs. If I move over here to the Ruger's got more of a pebble texture, and no finger grooves except this little recess undercut under the trigger, which for at least for my fingers kind of only covers about half of the finger. Neither one of these have replaceable back straps. These are, meant to be a little less expensive guns, so they don't have some of those features. From a pricing perspective, the MSRPs on these are a little different than what I'm actually seeing on the market for. The RXM has an MSRP of $499, and the Springfield XD has an MSRP of $325. So just starting with the MSRP, the XD is significantly less expensive. However, I'm seeing the Ruger between $350 and $400, at least as of the making of this video, and I'm seeing the XD for under $300. So the XD is still less expensive, but not by quite as much. Sights are nice on the XD. They're a 3-dot sight with a red front sight, and I found them really easy to use, real easy to shoot well. The RXM has a tritium front sight with a ring and a blackout rear, and normally I don't like blackout rears. However, there's enough of a gap that I was actually able to shoot this one well. I was able to find enough reference on the target to do bullseye style shooting well with it. So I would say both of these have good quality sights. The triggers on these are both, including the inertial toggle, just like you see on any of the modern striker guns, internal drop safeties, and of course the XD has the additional grip safety that's not present on the RXM. So let's demonstrate the triggers. Minimal take up on the RXM, and then kind of a little bit of vagueness to get to the wall, and then a nice defined but kind of softish wall. Almost all the way out, but the overall travel is so short that that's really not a problem. And again, that's slightly soft but nicely defined wall. So it's a nice trigger. Now if I go to the XD, much less take up. You're right on the wall, and then kind of a soft pull through the wall. It's a little bit longer wall, but it's not creepy by any stretch of the imagination. Similar to the RXM, the reset's about all the way out, a little bit of take up to get back on the wall, and then again a little bit of a pull through the wall and a nice break with an over travel stop. I found the trigger on this very easy to shoot well, as same as the RXM. Both of these triggers worked well. They're different. So what I would say is pick them up, handle them, pull the triggers to see what you happen to like better. But I would not say either one of these triggers is necessarily better than the others. They both have really good triggers. One thing I overlooked when I mentioned this is a red front sight. It's a fiber optic, so it does light up quite nicely. When you get it under any kind of lighting, it shows up really good. And the more light you get on it, the brighter it gets. Of course, the camera doesn't like, but there's a good shot right there. You can see how well lit it is. And if I take the flashlight away from it, the studio lights themselves are kind of making it glow nicely. So the front sight is easy to see on the XDM, and the ring on the XD, the ring on the RXM also makes it quite easy to see the front sight. So I would say that, again, the sights on these are different, but they're equally good and equally easy to use well. And of course, if you don't like the sights, you can toss an optic on it. Both of them are optic ready. So it's easy to replace it with any of the optics that are out there and be able to eliminate the sights if you want to. You also have a loaded chamber indicator that sticks up on the XD and a witness hole on the XD or on the RXM. One thing all the XDs have, whether it's an XD or an XDM, is they have this striker cocked indicator. It's a little protrusion that sticks out. If I turn it to the side, you can see it sticking out. I pull the trigger, it disappears, and it reappears. So you can thumb it, and you can feel it with your thumb to determine whether or not the striker is in a cocked position or not. Kind of a nice safety feature if you choose to use it. If you don't choose to use it, you simply ignore it. It doesn't get in the way, it doesn't hang up, it doesn't cause any sort of a problem. So I would say that Ruger's first attempt at doing a Glock, actually I think is a good attempt. I think they've done well. And Springfield has continued to evolve what was already a very good pistol and just kind of updated it with the optics capability and the more flatty trigger and some of the other things that you're seeing these days. And they've done an excellent job, which is typical of Springfield. It seems like everything they do right. And they also both include a bit of a flare to the magwell, a little more pronounced on the RXM, but to help make it a little bit easier to get the magazines in. So what's going to come down to at this point is, which one should you pick? Well, the price is close enough together. The price really isn't going to make the difference. The XDM, you get one more round of capacity than, or the XD, you get one more round of capacity than you do with the RXM. But with the RXM, you get all the Glock magazine compatibility. So you can go all the way up into some scary numbers with the RXM because it'll take any other Glock magazine. Overall, I think the two things that are going to make the difference is the grip angle. So this is going to have a Glock grip angle. It has to in order to work properly with Glock magazines. The XD has a more conventional grip angle. And if you've got any familiarity at all with the XD lines of pistols, XD or XDM, you're probably going to preference this. You're going to like it a little bit better. If you've got history with Glock, you actually might like this as an improvement over the Glock. I'm actually at the point, I'm not going to say one's better than the other. I think it's going to come down to what fits well in your hand, what do you like. Springfield has unparalleled reliability. They just work. Glocks just work. I have had some hit or miss with Ruger semi-automatics, but if they're cloned to Glock and they cloned it faithfully, it should work. It should be reliable. This one has been, and of course, unsurprisingly, the XD has been totally reliable. It's actually going to come down to pick it up, hold it in your hand, see how you like the trigger. It's really going to come down to the ergonomics to decide between the two of them, because it's pretty much Glock versus the XD in the overall ergonomics. Beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that bell to be notified if you do. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Player, Rumble. We're pretty much everywhere. And thank you.